Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So do you remember when Donald Trump said that he was stopping the weapon shipments to Syria? I remember. I did a video saying, hey, good job. We were shipping weapons to terrorists. Good job stopping that. That was a horrible plan of the last administration. Good job. Donald Trump lied. Donald Trump lied through his teeth. Bombshell report catches Pentagon falsifying paperwork for weapons transferred to Syrian rebels. You don't say. You don't say. A new bombshell joint report issued by two international weapons monitoring groups Tuesday confirms that the Pentagon continues to ship record-breaking amounts of weaponry into Syria and that the Department of Defense is scrubbing its own paper trail. On Tuesday, the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project and the Balkan Investigative Reporting Network produced conclusive evidence that not only is the Pentagon currently involved in shipping up to $2.2 billion worth of weapons from a shady network of private dealers to allied partners in Syria, mostly old Soviet weaponry, but is actually manipulating paperwork such as end-user certificates, presumably in order to hide the United States' involvement. The OCCRP and BRN published internal U.S. defense procurement files after an extensive investigation which found that the Pentagon is running a massive weapons trafficking pipeline which originates in the Balkans and the Caucasus and ends in Syria and Iraq. The program is ostensibly part of the United States Train, Equip, and Assist campaign for the Syrian Democratic Forces and the Arab FSA group operating primarily in Syria's east. The arms transfers are massive, and the program looks to continue for years, according to foreign policy coverage of the report. The Department of Defense has budgeted $584 million specifically for the Syrian operation for the financial years of 2017 and 2018, and has earmarked another $900 million of spending on Soviet-style munitions between now and 2022. The total, $2.2 billion, likely understates the flow of weapons to Syrian rebels in the coming years. But perhaps more shocking is the following admission that the Pentagon suppliers have links with known criminal networks. According to the report, many of the weapon suppliers, primarily in Eastern Europe but also in the former Soviet republics, including Kazakhstan, Georgia, and Ukraine, have both links to organized crime throughout Eastern Europe and spotty business records. The sheer amount of material necessary for the Pentagon program, one ammunition factory announced it planned to hire 1,000 new employees in 2016 to help cope with demand, has reportedly stretched suppliers to the limit, forcing the Defense Department to relax standards on the materials it's willing to accept. That's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I'll read this one last line. It is likely that the Organized Crime Association is the reason why the Pentagon has sought to alter its records. In addition, the sheer volume of weaponry continuing to ship to the Syrian battlefield and other parts of the Middle East means inevitable proliferation among unsavory terror groups, a phenomenon which has already been exhaustively documented in connection with now reportedly closed CIA program to topple the Syrian government. Do you remember back in at the end of the Soviet Union, at the end of the Cold War, the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan. Now, the United States, of course, did not want the Soviet Union in Afghanistan, but it was full well understood throughout the entirety of the Cold War that any direct conflict between the United States and Soviet Union will most likely end up being a nuclear conflict. One side would invariably win, and the side that's losing will pull their weapons. It's no different if you're in a street fight and somebody pulls a gun when they're losing that fight. The Soviet Union did leave Afghanistan, and the United States had a hand in it, but it wasn't direct. The United States was essentially given resources and aid. Think of it as like a proxy war, radicalizing elements in Afghanistan so they can fight harder against the Soviet Union, while at the same time giving them resources. This worked. Those resources and munitions also, however, were used against us when we invaded Iraq and Afghanistan. I don't know how often you can fail with a strategy and continue to do the same strategy. I mean, unless It's understood that the strategy is failure, that the entire point of this was to destabilize the region, not necessarily for any main political gains. They wanted Bashar al-Assad out that seat. They were willing to do some pretty heinous and nasty stuff to do it. Donald Trump lied to the American public saying that he stopped those weapons deals or stopped those weapons transfers to Syria. Donald Trump lied. In the same way those weapons were used against us during the Iraq War and Afghanistan wars, there's no reason at all to believe that these weapons won't end up in the hands of people who may actually be hunting either us or our interests. At some point, somebody says, hey, this strategy consistently fails. Maybe we should try a different strategy. They're a sovereign government. We have no business sending weapons and arms and resources or anything else to undermine a sovereign government, particularly for the sketchy reasons that the United States has been doing. This kind of this idea that because the United States is the only superpower that it can do whatever it wants around the globe. That is an immense fail. Those things blow back and usually bites us in the ass. I'm making the point that what took place in Iraq and Afghanistan to some degree bit us in the ass. We helped during the Soviet occupation. It got us, 20 years later? When is this going to bite us in the ass? When is that going to bite us in the ass? We're literally trying to topple a government. That's what's taking place. Now, Donald Trump, yeah, that's the catch. I haven't heard anyone else mention this story. And I'm going to put the article at the bottom of the paper so you can read it for yourself and see the studies and everything else. Another lie. Another lie. I'll leave it at that. Keep an eye on your government. All right, guys. If you enjoy the content, feel free to share, subscribe, and of course, you can always support the work through Patreon. Thank you.